What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Look, man, week 17 in the books, all except for one game. You got Monday Night Football, so hopefully you're not relying on that. Hopefully you guys have already clinched some fantasy football championships, bringing home the hardware, bringing home the cash, doing all the stuff that we play all year for, hopefully coming home with that trophy. That being said, folks, we got a lot of games to recap. This is the final recap of the year as the championships are now kind of wrapping up here. We got the Saturday and the Sunday slates to get through, so I don't want to waste too much time. We're going to hop right into those. I do want to let you know right before we get into that, though, if you guys are still looking for a win, maybe you didn't win the championship, maybe you got some second place money or something like that, and you're looking for some additional winnings or how to grow those winnings, do that over on Underdog. Right now, they're giving new customers a free pick. It is one total yard for Brock Purdy tonight if Brock Purdy gets that total yard, which, look, we all know it's a freebie pick. He's going to get 1 yard. If he does that, you cash that part of your pick'em entry, so make sure you go do that. The only way you can do this, though, is if you sign up using code LEAGUEFFB. It does support this show. They give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash depending on your initial deposit. Like I said, you might have some winnings, second place winnings, first place winnings, third place winnings, whatever you got maybe from this league that you want to try and help grow over here on Underdog. Maybe keep playing throughout the offseason, some of their drafts, some of the other things that they do. Like I said, use code LEAGUEFFB. It will support this show, and that is the only way you get the Brock Purdy pick for tonight. So that does take us into Saturday's slate. Saturday, we did have the Los Angeles Chargers and the New England Patriots. It was the first game on Saturday. Pretty lopsided game here. Look, you had the Los Angeles Chargers. They won 40-7. Justin Herbert had himself a pretty solid day. I think there were some good fantasy performances from the Chargers side of the football, maybe not so many from the New England side of the football, but Justin Herbert goes 26 for 38, 281, and 3 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, he had 19 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. And really the other big one was Ladd McConkey. He goes 8 for 94 and 2 touchdowns. So if you had any of those guys, you were very happy with your fantasy football performances in that week. QJ goes 5 for 48. You maybe played him, maybe not. But I think the big pieces there were Dobbins. If you were worried about playing him and you did play him, he did pay off for you. McConkey went nuts. McConkey, he had one of the better performances of the week. In our league, he had about 30 points, full PPR. I had him on my championship squad, so pretty happy with that performance there. But overall, there was definitely some things to like out of the Los Angeles Chargers in this matchup. Now, for New England, Drake May goes 12 for 22, 117 yards and a touchdown. Antonio Gibson leads the way, 12 for 63. It did, before the game, we got some news that Ramondre Stevenson was going to be benched, and it was because of the fumbling issues that he's been dealing with. So Antonio Gibson didn't get the start, but he kind of got the start. They said he was going to get the start, but then Ramondre takes the first snap. It was a mess. Anyways, if you played Ramondre, that was not what you were looking for. Demario Douglas goes 4 for 46 and 1. Kayshon Boutte goes 4 for 28. As I'm kind of shifting my focus now, kind of more into, off season. And what does this mean for fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football specifically? I think we've seen enough out of Kayshon Boutte this year that I kind of like what I've seen. Obviously, he's a guy that we've mentioned a few times this year, but he's a guy that I'm still kind of interested in going into the offseason. Now, obviously, a lot of the conversation is going to be around the New England Patriots, and right now they currently hold the number 1 overall pick, is what I think is happening right now. I think they do have the number 1 overall pick, and so we've had some rumors. Maybe it could be Travis Hunter to number 1 to play corner/wide receiver for them. If not, maybe they trade back and they end up getting a guy like Ted McMillan or something like that, or T. Higgins ends up being here. I think there's going to be another wide receiver. That's my point of this whole conversation. So Kayshon, he's still a guy that I like, but I just think he's a guy that probably gets some added competition this offseason is all I'm saying here. So Dylan, my guy, he says this to win $1,200 full PPR. I'm currently in the lead by 49.2 points exactly. My opponent has Gibbs and Jennings left, though. How do you like my odds? Hoping for a low score there. 49.2. Full PPR. That sounds right about the projections, in my opinion. I feel like Gibbs probably is a 25-point guy. Jennings maybe a 20-point guy. I think he should be good. I like your odds. If I were going to put you percentage. I don't know, maybe you're playing on sleeper, they give you a percentage on your win percentage, but I probably would give you probably 65 to 70% chance of winning this one. So I like your odds there, Dylan. Let's move on to this next game, though. We'll go through these fairly quick today because we're not going to have to talk about, Week 18 waivers. We're not going to have to talk about a lot of the other stuff. Mainly just talking about performances, good performances, bad performances. The next game there was the Broncos-Bengals. This was actually a pretty good game as well. Bo Nix and Joe Burrow in overtime. Joe Burrow and the Bengals win this one. Now, if you guys have been living under a rock, there was a league winner, an actual, big league winner in this game. His name was T. Higgins. T. Higgins goes nuclear, probably making it very hard if you were playing against him to win. And if you had him on your team, it probably made you feel pretty good about your odds really early on Saturday. I am probably one of the few. I played against T. Higgins and somehow won. But I had Trey McBride on my side. I had, a couple other guys that really made it easy. But this was tough. T. Higgins goes nuts. Joe Burrow throws the football almost 50 times. 39 completions there, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had himself a big day. I think he was the QB1 overall on the week. So ended up having a really big day there for Joe. Chase Brown goes 20 for 67. Did not get into the end zone. And there was an opportunity here in this game where he could have possibly gotten into the end zone. But you did kind of have this ankle injury. I don't know what the deal was with the Bengals, whether they were kneeling or trying not to get into the end zone, but it didn't make sense because once Chase Brown, kind of goes down and injures himself, then they go and try and get into the end zone right after that. So I was kind of confused because it's like, why does Chase Brown just not get into the end zone if the goal was to go into the end zone in the first place? Or maybe that changed their mind. I don't really know what happened, but it was weird. Could have had fantasy points for Chase Brown there in your championship and probably needed a couple of them as well. I don't know, man. It was just a weird situation, but he ended up getting banged up, didn't play in overtime. It was Khalil Herbert in overtime. T. Higgins, like I said, 11 for 131, 3 touchdowns on 12 targets. This dude went nuts, man. Went absolutely bonkers. Number 1 wide receiver on the week. Should be actually a league-winning guy. And look, we have a tradition over here. Whenever I win a fantasy football championship, I like to get a jersey or two from, my championship roster, guys that helped me win it. If you had T. Higgins, you won your championship, consider buying that man's jersey. But maybe wait till next year because he's a free agent. He might not be in Cincinnati. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good jersey to buy. Jamar Chase goes 9 for 102. Doesn't get into the end zone. Mike Gesicki goes 10 for 86. Your tight end premium leagues, if you stream Mike Gesicki, had a pretty solid day there as well. So really that was the big contributors there from Cincinnati. Denver, they had Bo Nix go 24 for 31, had 3 touchdowns in this one as well for 219 yards. Was a good day for Bo Nix. Not really anything to complain about there. The running game was horrid. Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, no Javonte Williams in this one either. So, it just wasn't a great day from the running back room. Marvin Mims scores 2 touchdowns in this game, 8 receptions for 103 yards. That probably only helped you in your best balls. If you played on underdog and you have best ball teams, maybe. Nobody really started him nobody wanted to start him, first of all. If you started him, you didn't want to, and you got lucky. Cortland Sutton goes 5 for 55 and a touchdown there as well. So those are kind of the performers in this game. Devin says, I win the chip if San Francisco holds Amon-Ra under 30.3 tonight. He had McLaurin, who got locked up by Terrell, and then follows that up with, I need a Terrell jersey if I win. You might need to get an AJ Terrell jersey because he did lock him up. As far as 30.3 for Amon-Ra, I kind of like those odds, man. I don't expect Detroit to go super hard tonight. I think they're still going to roll out starters. I've seen a lot of people worried about them mailing it in and benching people and treating it as a bye week. I don't think that that's going to happen. In fact, Dan Campbell already kind of mentioned that that's not going to happen. But I don't know if they're going to be trying to put up 50 or 60 on these guys like they do in some of these other weeks, especially because next week, on a short week, they have to meet Minnesota. And look, people are going to say they're not scared of Minnesota. That's for the number 1 seed. You better be ready. So I don't know if they go full all out tonight, but I think you should be okay there, Devin. Let's move on to this next game. The last Saturday game, you had the Cardinals and the Rams. This was a huge game for the Rams because the rest of the weekend kind of played into the hands of the Rams where they ended up taking that last spot there in the NFC. They ended up making the playoffs here because of this game. So Kyler Murray puts up 9 points. The Rams put up 13. It was a bad game. There really wasn't a lot of points to go around. There were still a few people who were fantasy relevant in this game. Matthew Stafford was not one of them. Kyron Williams, you probably wish he did a little bit more, but he goes 13 for 56 and a touchdown. And then Puka Nacua, he's probably the best performer from the Rams side of the football in this game. He goes 10 for 129. So even in your PPR leagues, he still goes out there, puts out like 23 points fantasy-wise. Had a pretty good day for you in the Fantasy Football Championship. Cooper Kupp goes 1 for 29. I'm going to be honest, man. Looking at Cooper Kupp right now and how he finished the Fantasy Football playoffs, he had a 0-point performance in Week 15. The week after that, he had like 5 points or something like that, less than 5 points. This week, he had less than 5 points. It was a disaster class for anybody who played Cooper Kupp in the Fantasy Football playoffs. It didn't matter what week you played him. It was bad. This makes me slightly interested in Cooper Kupp in the Dynasty offseason. Now, the reason why I say that is because if Cooper Kupp, the perception right now early in the offseason is he's done. You know, he can't be good anymore. He's fallen off a cliff. He's not good. That might be the narrative to some of these people in your leagues, especially early in the offseason. I'm talking about like as soon as this league renews for you and you can open those trades back up, you might want to hit up that manager and say, hey, look, I'll throw you a late second. I'll throw you mid-second, see if you give me Cooper Kupp at his old age and, you know, his cliff that he just fell. I'm willing to do that if I'm a contending team because I still think that Cooper Kupp is going to be fine next year. I think worst case scenario for Cooper Kupp outside of injury, which this year obviously the injury did play a big part in what Cooper Kupp was. I think next year he's at worst, you know, a top 30 wide receiver. And if you can get a top 30, top 25 wide receiver for a mid to late second round pick, I'm all for it. So I just look at him as maybe a potential veteran buy in the offseason if the price is cheap enough because people are low on Cooper Kupp. Those are the kinds of dips that I like to look for in the offseason. Kyler Murray, like I said, didn't have a great day. 33 for 48, 321 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not very happy about the performance there. He didn't even run the ball that much, 4 for 32. Michael Carter goes pretty much the whole way, 13 for 70, because James Conner re-aggravated his knee injury, and he missed the remainder of the game. So hopefully you didn't play James Conner. I was very nervous about James Conner coming into this game. I benched him in my own fantasy football league because I was nervous about James Conner coming into this one, and it's this exact reason. The Cardinals had nothing to play for. He was already injured. He's a little bit older. It's just a recipe for disaster. So hopefully you didn't play James Conner in your fantasy football leagues. Hopefully you did play Trey McBride, though. Trey McBride goes 12 for 123 and a touchdown, 16 targets, man. He finds the end zone for the first time in a very, very long time. Perfect week to do that. Goes out and puts up a hell of a week, especially if you play in tight end premium. I play in a half-point tight end premium, just an extra half point per reception, and he had like 36 points or some shit like that. Trey McBride went nuclear. Marvin Harrison had a pretty solid day as well, 6 for 96. He didn't get into the end zone, but if he goes into the end zone, we're talking about that as a high note to finish the season off, at least the fantasy football season off for him here in this one. And everybody else doesn't really matter too much. Like I said, there was only the one touchdown from Kyler Murray. It went to Trey McBride. Trey McBride actually had an opportunity to catch a second one, maybe win this game from Kyler Murray. They threw it. It just came out really fast, and it was a little bit early, and it hit Trey McBride in the hands, and there was Akella Witherspoon who was there as well. I think that's his name. Ended up picking it off. It's kind of just bad timing, not necessarily a bad ball, and not a bad it wasn't on Trey McBride either. He kind of looked on the sideline like he felt like it was his fault. It wasn't his fault either. It was just kind of a little bit off tempo there, and a little bit of bad timing in this game. Anthony says, what are we talking about? We recap in Week 17, baby. Hopefully you win your championship there, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about that as well. But we're just recapping the Week 17 games. Let's move on to Sunday, because we have the Sunday game as well, or the slate of Sunday as well. We'll kick it off with Jets-Bills. So in this one, you had the Bills kind of blow them out. Let's just call it for what it is, 40-14. The Jets just don't have shit to play for. As much as they like to act like there's something to play for right now, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams want to act like the garbage time of their season where nothing matters for them is good for them. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to prove it to themselves, but it doesn't matter. Josh Allen goes 16 for 27, 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. I will say, if you played Josh Allen, you're probably not super happy with the performance that you got, because 3 touchdowns, I don't know. They put up 40 points. He gets 3 touchdowns. You're not unhappy, but he's been going nuclear, and this wasn't like a nuclear game. It was a good game. That's all it was. I just think when you have 40 points, maybe you expect a little bit more, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being greedy as a guy who feels like Josh Allen could have had a nuclear day. Anthony says, I did win. The Pretender won the title. Let's go. James Cook goes 15 for 53 and a touchdown. Touchdown salvaged his day. It was looking really bad for a while there. Josh Allen goes 5 for 17 and a touchdown on the ground as well. Receiving-wise, I mean, look at this. Terrell Shavers, a touchdown and 69 yards. Amari Cooper, 3 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown. Matt Collins, 2 for 33. Keon Coleman, 3 for 27 and a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 3 for 25. Dalton Kincaid, 2 for 24. This man is spreading the football around, man. Spreading the football around. Nobody in Buffalo really is a solidified wide receiver 1 at this point. Shakir has been the most consistent all year long, but Josh Allen is a truck, and the rest of the team is the trailer, and he's just pulling them along, man. It's just kind of been the way it is for them this year. When you look at New York, Aaron Rodgers goes 12 for 18, 112 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Horrid day. And then Tyrod Taylor comes in here, throws 2 touchdowns. Not looking good for Rodgers. And I've already kind of seen these reports and rumors circling around that Garrett Wilson might ask for a trade if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback next year, and Aaron Rodgers may not be the quarterback because Woody Johnson doesn't want him to possibly be the quarterback, and yada, yada. I don't know, man. It feels like Aaron Rodgers is on borrowed time in New York here. The Aaron Rodgers experiment for the Jets has been, let's just call it very easily, a disaster. It hasn't been good for them. It's been very underwhelming. To be honest, I think Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it's a bad idea if you just go hang him up. Just being real. I don't think it's a bad idea to hang him up at this point. Do you want to go to another roster and try and do the 1-year deal? I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like that's something that you should be doing, but I think maybe it's he comes back to the Jets for another season, or you hang him up. That would be my opinion for Aaron Rodgers, if that even matters. It doesn't at all. But Breece Hall goes 10 for 45, doesn't get into the end zone. Garrett Wilson goes 7 for 66 into the end zone. Tyler Conklin, 8 for 57 into the end zone. Our tight end premium league, he was sitting there on waivers. I think he finished the week as like tight end 3 or tight end 4 on the week. It's a pretty big week for Tyler Conklin. Devontae Adams, 5 for 47. There's just nobody on the Jets that you really felt super good about. Garrett Wilson is probably the one that you felt the best about, and he actually is probably one of the only ones, maybe outside of Breece Hall, that you were confidently starting. Maybe Devontae Adams as well. Anthony says, #father time. Damn straight. Hits everybody, man. Gets everybody. Let's go to the next game. We have the Raiders-Saints. Talking about teams that are winning football games that they should not win football games. The Las Vegas Raiders, what the hell are you doing, bro? I get it. You know, players playing for pride and pick-me-up morale and shit like that. This doesn't help nobody. The Raiders, they should not be winning a football game here when you can have an opportunity at the number 1 pick, especially because we saw, New England lost, and we'll talk about the Giants as well, but just not great, man. They end up winning this one 25-10. They go to 4-12, move out. I think their pick goes back now a little bit. Aiden O'Connell goes 20 for 35, 242, and 2 touchdowns. Amir Abdullah goes 20 for 115. No touchdown on the ground for anybody there in Las Vegas. If you played Abdullah, you probably were okay with what you got, considering that you were playing Abdullah, but I have to imagine that if you were playing Abdullah in your championship, you might not be or you might have not have been one of the best teams in the championship anyways. Brock Bowers goes 7 for 77. A little bit of a disappointing day from Brock Bowers, who's been such a big contributor for fantasy football teams this year. This is the one game where, he kind of just didn't give us the boom that we've been seeing consistently out of him. Jacoby Myers goes 5 for 61 and a touchdown. Trey Tucker also gets a touchdown in this one, but Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers are probably the only 2 guys that you were actually even playing from the Raiders, and Bowers probably was a little bit disappointing for you. Jacoby still showed up. Anthony says, Patriots fan, number 1 pick, baby. I don't know. Anthony, let me know, because I said I think that maybe the Patriots trade back. I try and get a haul to trade back, give it to Las Vegas, give it to New York, somebody who wants to come up and get it and get, some extra compensation. What do you think about that? And then take like Ted McMillan if you move back to like 4, 5, 6, 7 range. Griffin says, I faced Saquon 3 times this year, including semis, then faced Higgins, Mayfield, and JT in the third place game this season with a frowny face. That's tough, man. That's tough. Mayfield and Higgins, I faced those two guys in my I placed them in my third place game, I think, as well, too. They went crazy. Ended up losing my third place game in one of my dynasties, but played against Higgins in one of my dynasties and ended up getting a win because I had Ladd, McBride, JT, Darnold, some other guys as well. But yeah, man, BTJ was just lucky, I think. Anthony says, I was saying that at 3. Please, if they don't fire the whole staff. I don't think it's a bad idea to fire Mayo and those guys. Maybe go get an offensive-minded head coach to work with Drake May. Now, New Orleans, they had Spencer Rattler under center, 20 for 36, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Not usually great things are going to happen when Spencer Rattler is under center. He did rush the football 3 times for 46 yards. CEH getting involved, Kendre Miller there, Jamal Williams there. It's crazy because they activated CEH off the practice squad, and then he ended up leading the team in carries. So whatever that's worth, I don't know. The CEH experiment has been over for a long time, but is there a chance that he's the best running back in this backfield behind Kamara? I don't know. I don't want to say that like confidently, but he might be, honestly. But this is a good running back class coming in. Juwan Johnson leads the way, 6 for 66. Foster Moreau, 3 for 47 and a touchdown. We didn't get, the Chris Olave. We didn't get any of these other options. There's just nobody in New Orleans that's worth a damn playing right now. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. This was a bad game. And honestly, the Raiders, they should have probably tried a little bit better to throw this one because they're going to end up paying more if they want to move up and grab a Shador or something like that to fix their quarterback issue. Speaking of teams messing up their chances at drafting quarterbacks right now, you got the New York Giants, who all of a sudden want to put up 45 points against the Colts, who also score 33 points. Very high-scoring game. I will say, the fantasy community, myself included, all felt like the Colts were a very good pick-up-and-play defensive option this week. There were numerous videos. I think there was a video on Tuesday. There was a video on Friday where I talked about the Colts being arguably the best defensive play on the week. I was wrong. I apologize. I did not think that the New York Giants were going to be playing for anything right now. I didn't think that this team would even give a shit. And somehow Drew Lock said, fuck it. I'm going to put the team on my back. I'm going to go score. And he scored 45 points here. 4 touchdowns. I think Drew Lock finished as like a top 5 QB on the week. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry if you played the Colts defense because of my recommendation. I could not see this with 2020 vision. And it's just, again, there you go. Oscar says, LFG got 1 win with Blackshear in my lineup and another finals up by 27 with the guy having Goff only with 4-point touchdowns. How we feeling? Ooh, that one's a close one. I think the 27 with 4 points feels doable. I'd put you as the favorite in this matchup, but it's close. Getting a win with Blackshear is kind of crazy, though. Anthony says, Ladd, BTJ, and Neighbors are my wideouts. Got to do the rookie ranking, or got to do a rookie ranking. So I am, actually, I'm glad you mentioned this, Anthony. I was just doing all my content planning for the month of January. Some of the first videos that are going to be coming out at the start of January are my rookie reviews. So basically, I go through each position group and I talk about all of the rookies from 2024 and how I feel about them going into the offseason. So you'll get a lot of conversations about those guys for certain going into the offseason. Griffin says, I played them, but after seeing them last week, I should have known better. And Griffin says, also, Lock, best QB on the Giants roster. Damn straight. But look, man, he threw 4 touchdowns. Like I said, I think he's a top 5 QB on the week. Nobody could have predicted that shit. If you said you could have, you're wrong. You're lying to yourself. Tyron Trace goes 20 for 59. Malik Neighbors, huge day, 7 for 171 and 2 touchdowns. Showed up for you in championships if you had him. Wan'Dale Robinson getting involved. Darius Slayton getting involved. Like I said, 4 touchdowns. Lots of people getting involved there. For the Colts, Joe Flacco comes in, 330, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, 32 mother effing carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. They just give that man the rock, man. They literally just tell him to run the football damn near every play, it feels like. And he's been showing up. If you played Jonathan Taylor in week 16, he had that huge game for you. It was like a 3-touchdown game. Probably got you to the championship. Then you played him, rewarded him for that big game, played him again. How's 2 more touchdowns for you? Jonathan Taylor, actually a league winner. A guy that, if you had him on your team, won you championships because of his performances throughout the fantasy football playoffs. Alec Pierce goes 6 for 122 and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, 9 for 109 and a touchdown. And then the one guy that I felt like probably was going to be okay, and he wasn't, Josh Downs, 3 for 22. Just was the odd man out in this one. It was really just Pittman and Pierce. And Pittman actually had a pretty solid day. I think that might slightly change the perception of him in the offseason after maybe a little bit of a rough 2024. Maybe saved the negativity about him going into the offseason. Let's go to the next game here. Like I said, the Giants, they fucked up winning. They shouldn't have done that. Probably should have just let the Colts win. But, hey, they're playing for pride, I guess. Eagles, Cowboys. The Eagles end up winning this one 41-7. Wasn't even particularly close. Kenny Pickett plays quarterback in this game. He ends up getting hurt. Tanner McKee comes in here for a short minute. Ends up playing some as well. 3 for 4 and 2 touchdowns. How do you like throwing 2 touchdowns on 3 completions? Pretty crazy day for Tanner McKee as the third string guy coming in to the season. Look, Saquon had 31 carries as well, 167 yards. He didn't get the touchdown at all. So that does kind of bum you out if you had Saquon Barkley, because those yards are crazy. He's chasing records here, man. Devontae Smith goes 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, disappointing day, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. The touchdown saved him, but it was weird because last week Kenny Pickett was kind of just looking at A.J. Brown almost every single play, it felt like. And this week it just wasn't necessarily some of the same, but is what it is. Cooper Rush goes 15 for 28, 147 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Rico Dowdle, 23 for 104. No rushing touchdowns for the Cowboys. And the only receiving touchdown here was Jalen Tolbert. Obviously, no CeeDee Lamb in this one. Jake Ferguson puts up a stinker. Just a bad day from the Cowboys. Really, nobody even does anything worth a damn. Oscar says, I have a dynasty trade question. Reed and Nico or Garrett Wilson, Waddle, and a Lotto second and 210. Superflex half PPR, just won the chip. Have JJ, CD, and Nakua. Worth the upgrade or hold on to those 2 seconds? RBs are Kamara and JT. I think I'd probably stay where I'm at. I think Reed and Waddle are pretty similar assets. Nico, I prefer to Garrett Wilson. Do I want the 2 seconds for the depth or Garrett Wilson and 2 seconds for Nico? I think there's an argument either way. If you need a little bit more depth, though, which Kamara and JT as the running backs, I feel like you could use those seconds on some running backs this year. I probably would be keeping those 2 seconds for the depth, because it does feel like the receiver assets in this are fairly close. Brent with the super chat, appreciate you, Brent. He says, half PPR, down 15. I have Gibbs and Debo. How we feel? You've won that one, in my opinion. I think that one's pretty much 100% almost. There's a 90% chance I think you're winning this one. Gibbs should have a pretty solid day. I think he's good for a touchdown. At minimum, 60, 70 yards. If he does, 70 yards and a touchdown, that's 14 there by himself. Doesn't even account for any catches that he might have. So I think you're good here, Brent. Appreciate you supporting the show, though, with the super chat. Let's go to the next game. The next game that we have here is the Panthers Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield putting on QB2 on the week overall, 200 or 48 points for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 14 for the Carolina Panthers. What I was trying to say is 27 completions for 359 yards and five damn touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, how you feel? Just a big day from Baker. Bucky goes 20 for 113. There's no rushing touchdowns in this game. but there was some receiving touchdowns to be excited about. Mike Evans gets 2 of them. Jalen McMillan, 2 of them. Payne Durham, you get 1 of them. Nobody cares. Payne. But Mike and Jalen McMillan were definitely streamed or played, and McMillan streamed this week. Bucky Irving goes 4 for 77 receiving. Everybody showed up, man. I mean, when Baker Mayfield throws 5 touchdowns, that's just what's going to happen. But Bucky, big game. Baker, big game. Mike, big game. Jalen McMillan, big game. Everybody does what they're supposed to do. I think the only one maybe that didn't do what he maybe had been supposed to do was Rachaad White. I think a couple people were asking me earlier in the week, should I flex Rachaad White? And I said the matchup against Carolina was pretty decent, but I said I was worried about him being in the doghouse because Todd Bowles had said some stuff about him potentially being in the doghouse. It kind of looked like it in this game, if I'm not lying. It could have been like that, but everybody else did good. Griffin says, boo. Whatever, man. Oscar says, that was my thoughts also. Thanks for the input all year long. Much love. Much love to you too, Oscar. Appreciate you for being here all year. And we'll be here all off season too, so don't go anywhere. The Dynasty content's going to be here all off season too, so appreciate you. Bryce Young goes 15 for 28, 203, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Blackshear, after the Chuba Hubbard goes to IR type of thing, 8 for 20. If you played Raheem, you were down bad and you got down bad results. I know somebody in here said that they played Raheem and they won. So, hey, what can you do? That was Oscar. Oscar said he played Raheem and he won. So, good shit. But, I mean, this was down bad situation if you were playing Raheem. Adam Thielen goes 5 for 110, 2 touchdowns as well. Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, everybody else didn't matter. You got double touchdown games from Thielen, Evans, McMillan. I'm actually pretty interested in what happens with Jalen McMillan in the offseason. As most of you guys probably know, Chris Godwin is a unrestricted free agent going into the year. Obviously, the torn ACL. It's not the torn ACL. What did he do? I can't remember what he did. Leg injury. I'm going to have to remind myself what he did. It feels like that was a billion years ago at this point that he did that, but it was really only a couple weeks ago. But Jalen McMillan was drafted, man. I feel like he was kind of drafted to be the Godwin replacement if Godwin walked in free agency, and I think he's played to the potential to maybe give them the flexibility to let Godwin walk in free agency. It's going to be interesting to see. I think he's a sneaky... People who have Jalen McMillan know what he's been doing, but he still feels like he's going to be undervalued by the community right now. I probably would be looking at buying him potentially this offseason. We'll talk about him a little bit in a week or two. Griffin says the boo was at Baker. Tough. But yeah, other than that, man, there's not too much to take away from this game. Let's go to... Which one is it? Titans, Jags. Again, another team that was losing games that probably should keep losing games. Both of these teams need to lose games, but... so I guess you can't really say too much. The Jaguars win 20-13. Mac Jones goes 15 for 22, 174, and 2 touchdowns. Etienne leads the way, 15 for 49. Bigsby 11 for 33. Neither of these guys are really startable. They're only flex options at best. I don't know what happens this offseason. I almost feel like it would be best to see the Jaguars trade Etienne in the offseason or move on from Etienne in the offseason. Let him go somewhere else. I think that would be the best situation for them. And the best situation for Travis Etienne. But who knows if they'll do that with Trevor Lawrence under center and Trevor and Travis being, best bros. Brian Thomas Jr. goes 7 for 91 and a touchdown. Parker Washington, 3 for 31 and a touchdown. BTJ, talking about a guy who helped you win championships. His playoff performances were great as well. One of the best championship plays, I think, for those 3 weeks. He's got to get some type of award for that. Love everything that Brian Thomas Jr. did. I mentioned, I like to buy the jersey of a couple guys that helped me win the championship. BTJ's jersey is on its way to my house as we speak. Ordered those last night. They're being shipped in. BTJ jersey, baby. Tennessee passing. Mason Rudolph goes 19 for 31, 193, a touchdown. Tajay Spears goes 20 for 95. Was going to be the workhorse in this one with Tony Pollard out, and then he got concussed or banged up going into the third quarter. Didn't play the rest of the game, so not great for him. Weather was also supposed to be bad. It actually didn't end up being that bad, it felt like, but overall, really nobody receiving wise helped you. Okonkwo not great, Ridley not great, Akine not great. Like I said, they only threw 1 touchdown, and it was to Nick Vanette. So we didn't care. We don't care. On to the next game, man. Let's go. I think we got a couple left, and I think we're at, what, about 40 minutes. We're okay right now. Dolphins, Browns. No Tua Tagovailoa in this game, but the Dolphins still win. They go to 8-8. Cleveland puts up 3 points. I was very nervous about Cleveland with Dorian Thompson-Robinson in here. No David Njoku. No Cedric Tillman. It was going to be tough sledding, and it was. 3 points shows for it. Tyler Huntley goes 22 for 26, 225 and a touchdown. Also rushes the football 7 times for 52 yards and a touchdown. HN, not efficient. When Tua Tagovailoa is not in the lineup, HN is not very good. I was worried about HN. You still probably had to start HN because there's just not, many guys in fantasy football that have the upside of Devon HN, but he just doesn't get the receiving work when Tua's out. Huntley doesn't check the football down the way Tua does. For what it's worth, people, they want to talk negatively about Tua. Tua does some things really well in this offense. He kind of makes this hum. Just didn't turn out for Devon HN this last week. If you were worried about Tyreek Hill, which I know a couple people were worried about Tyreek Hill, 9 for 105. Still did enough. You were okay with what he did for you in this one. 19 fantasy points in your PPR leagues. You're going to be okay with that. Malik Washington, Jonnu Smith, the next guy's up. Jonnu, he only catches 3 footballs, but he also scores a touchdown in this one, so you're okay with that. For Cleveland, there's really nothing to talk about here. Jerome Ford was a popular stream, and he did nothing worth a damn. Jerry Jeudy goes 12 for 94, so I guess that's the only thing that you were okay with. And really, you probably expected him to do that with nobody else in this offense available. Maybe not 12 receptions, but he was going to be the leading receiver no matter what. Just not a good day. Not a good day from the Cleveland Browns, and hopefully you didn't have to play anybody from the Browns. I did play Jerome Ford in a matchup, and like I said, didn't turn out very well. Let's go to 2 games left. Packers, Vikings. Motherfuckers. How's that feel, Green Bay? I wish Josiah was in the chat. Where's Josiah? He was hitting me with the Go Pack Go yesterday. We had a couple people hit me with a GPG. I'm not, look, I don't want to talk too much shit, but look, y'all said Go Pack Go, and Minnesota wins this one. Now we're playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC next week against Detroit. We'll see what happens, but Sam Darnold, my guy, we needed a big week from him. He scored like 30 fantasy points in my league. It's a 6-point passing touchdown league, but they win 27-25. Darnold goes 33 for 43, 377, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Aaron Jones gets 12 carries for 47 yards. He got banged up in this one. Cam Akers and Ty Chandler finished the game out for them, kind of splitting touches. Justin Jefferson, it looked like it was going to start off a little bit shaky. He ends up leading 8 for 92. Doesn't get the touchdown, though. Those go to Jalen Naylor, Jordan Addison, and Cam Akers as receiving touchdowns. Jordan Addison goes 6 for 69. You were probably playing him, and you probably were happy with what he did enough. Hawkinson, 5 for 68. Decent day, I guess, for tight ends considering, but you probably have expected more out of TJ Hawkinson. And I think it'll be next year. Obviously, at this point, it's going to have to be next year that you get better numbers. But I was a little bit nervous. Hawkinson coming in this year off the ACL. Still liked him because, considering the tight end position, I'll take a 70% health TJ Hawkinson over 100% health most of the tight ends in the NFL. But, I think it's going to be better next year. Just needed to get those legs back underneath him after that ACL, MCL, whatever injury. It was a bunch of... He tore up his knee pretty bad last year, and it's good to see him back. But, hey, Vikings won this one. The players you needed, Addison, Jefferson, Darnold, all those guys, they all did pretty well for you. Maybe the only one who didn't, Aaron Jones. For Green Bay, Jordan Love goes 19 for 30, 185 and a touchdown. Not a good day from Jordan Love. You're not probably happy with that. Josh Jacobs goes 17 for 69 and a touchdown. I know a lot of people weren't necessarily happy with that either, but this is a tough rushing defense. We knew that this was going to be a tougher rushing defense coming into it, but you probably wanted more out of him. Dobbs goes 7 for 58, Kraft 2 for 53, Wicks 4 for 43, Jaden Reed, what the hell, dude? 1 for 6. It feels like Jaden Reed started out the year And it was like the Green Bay Packers were like, damn, Jaden Reed is by far our best wide receiver. We need to get him the ball. He's the most talented guy. And then as the year went on, they were like, I don't know if they just kind of started working other guys in, Wicks and Watson and Dobbs and all these other guys. They kind of forgot about it. I don't know, man. It feels odd that they're not getting him more touches. Like, they're not even manufacturing touches for Jaden Reed, which he is the most explosive playmaker, I think, in that wide receiver room. I don't know why it's not happening right now, but it's an odd case in my opinion. Everybody else, though, Malik Heath scores a touchdown. You don't want that. You don't want that one. Probably would have rather had that one go to somebody else. Christian Watson did not play, so let's go on to the next game. Like I said, Minnesota next week. You got something to watch next week, boys. Flex to Sunday Night Football as well, so we can watch that one for the number 1 seed. Should be a good game. Last game of the night, Sunday Night Football goes to overtime. Michael Penix versus Jaden Daniels, not Jaden Reed. Washington Commanders and Atlanta Falcons. Washington wins 30-24. Daniels goes 24 for 36, 227, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Good day from him. How does 16 for 127 on the ground sound? Pretty damn good to me. B-Rob 13 for 60. Chris Rodriguez steals a touchdown in there. You would have rather had that going to Brian Robinson, but what can you do? Olamide Zaccheaus leads the way receiving for them. 8 for 85 and a touchdown. Ertz gets 2 touchdowns. This is the big one. Terry McLaurin. Such a good year in your championship week, 1 for 5. Just disappearing in your championship week. I don't know what to do there, man. It's just, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Griffin says, the pack receiver room is too full, too many mouths to feed, and coaching staff is too weak to pick an alpha. They need to just manufacture some touches for one of them, some of them. I think Jaden Reed's the most talented guy, but we'll see, man. Michael Penix goes 19 for 35, 223, a touchdown and an interception. Bijan 17 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what you want out of Bijan in your championship week. Drake London 7 for 106. Kyle Pitts 4 for 44 and a touchdown. Hate you, Kyle Pitts. Bad all year, and then in the championship week, after every team that has Kyle Pitts misses the playoffs, you end up scoring a touchdown. That's just the way it goes, I think, for Kyle Pitts. Do not let that memory of the touchdown make you draft him early next year. Do not draft Kyle Pitts. Darnell Mooney 2 for 37. Everybody else, who cares? Look, London had a good day. Bijan had a day. Terry McLaurin was the one who didn't, and he's the one that you probably wanted to start the most out of all these people. So, unfortunate there, but hopefully it didn't cost you a championship. Those of you that don't have your games decided, you're relying on this game tonight. You got the Lions and the 49ers. People are worried about the Lions resting folks. I don't think that they're going to be resting folks or treating this as a bye week. I don't think that they're going to try and go all out and put up 50, but I don't know. I'm not super worried about them resting a ton of people. Hopefully your games are already decided. The Niners, though, they're going to be coming in here trying to play spoiler, I think, playing for pride. So if you have those folks, Debo, Garendo, Purdy, some of these other guys, Kittle, you should still have some decent options here available. This is still an interesting game to watch here tonight. You got a good one on TV tonight, so we'll definitely be watching that one. If you guys do want something to root for in that game, though, I will tell you, our friends over at Underdog, they are offering that new customer special. Free pick. Brock Purdy has to get 1 total yard. If he gets 1 total yard, you win. So if you're looking for something to root for tonight, root for that. You can get that promo by signing up using code LEAGUEFFB. Over on Underdog, they'll give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash as well when you sign up. There's a link in the description, so you can sign up clicking that as well. That's probably easiest. But yeah, if you want something to root for tonight, go ahead and root for that. Get that Brock Purdy free pick. Now, Griffin says I faced Pitts in the 3rd place game as well. Anthony says, should we trade for Pitts in Dynasty League? No, the Pitts thing, do not roster Kyle Pitts. I mean, obviously, you can roster him at a price and pay for him at a price, but I'm not interested in Pitts too much. Griffin says, down 75 with Debo. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kittle versus Garendo. I'm cooked. Yeah, I mean, it's not great. It's not great, Griffin. I wish I could have a little bit more positivity for you, but down 75 is a lot. Steve says, I'm up 26. I have St. Brown and my opponent has Gibbs and Debo. Thoughts? I think that 26 is probably Gibbs. So you just need St. Brown to outscore Debo. I like your odds. I think I like your odds there, Steve. That is it today, folks, though. So, look, if you guys have been around all year, I appreciate you. I truly do. This is the final recap, I guess, of the year for the regular for the regular fantasy football season, the NFL season. Obviously, lots of dynasty fantasy football content just around the corner, all starting in January. Yeah, man, it's been a really good year. I'm super appreciative of you guys. I wish I could really express that better, but we've grown a lot, man, this year, and it's been a big year for us. I'm kind of just reflecting as we go into the new year, into 2025 as well, and it's kind of funny that it all kind of concludes at the same time, but very, very just grateful for you guys. We've grown a lot. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. The goal was by the end of the year to get to 4,000. I think we fell just shy, but that's okay. We're going to crush that in the first week or the second week of January, and we'll shoot for a bigger goal there to end 2025 on. Look, man, I love this shit, and I appreciate you guys for wanting to spend time watching my content, interacting with me, being a part of this community, hanging out. Like, it truly does mean the world to me. So thank you all. Again, I can't say that enough, but I just wanted to say that in this final stream for the season. That said, I'm looking at my content schedule. With the Fantasy Football Championships wrapping up here tonight, I'm going to take about a week to just do no content, because I've been doing content for 99 weeks straight now. 99 weeks straight, no breaks. I'm going to take 1 week to myself, man. And starting week 100, we're going to be right back on the grind. Maybe hit you with another 100 weeks straight. But that's just the way it's going to be. Next video on this channel will be the 2024 rookie quarterback recap for Dynasty Fantasy Football. That will come out January 6th, so I will see you guys then. Make sure you're still in the Discord, though, because I can answer questions in that Discord 24/7, 365, even though YouTube videos are not coming out for about 5-6 days. But yeah, man, that's it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good YouTube stuff. All of that being considered, I'll see you guys on the next video in a week, next Monday. But until then, peace out, folks.